So I finally found one. It says DIY clothes for all pets. And I've already watched it, but yeah. And if you have a smaller pet, you can use a smaller clothing. Now for gerbils, I would use like kid clothing. Okay, and we are going to watch this because I really want to know this. And actually,
Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is one that I've had several people ask me to make, and I'm happy that I'm finally able to get it out for you guys today. And that is
this is
all pet owners alike. No one in regards to what species of... Now this isn't to say that Syrian hamsters smell horrible and you shouldn't get them or anything like that. They can have a bit more of an odor than some dwarfs. At least that's what I've found. Hamsters are created equal, as we all know, so it is something that I just wanted to mention for you guys so that your tank stays odor-free. My second tip for keeping your hamster cage open, rescuing or adopting a hamster, you may not have a choice in the species, but there are a lot of other measures that you can take to ensure that your tank stays odor-free. My second tip for keeping your hamster cage odor-free is being mindful of the type of bedding that you pick. I personally am very partial to paper beddings. In fact, that's what I currently do, and I swear by it. It's really absorbent, and I find that it masks odor really, really well. One of the mistakes that I made years ago when I had my Syrian hamsters was I didn't use paper bedding. Unfortunately, it wasn't as popular back then as it is now, but luckily, times have changed, and now you can find paper beddings in all different brands and colors. My personal favorite bedding is the Katie Cleaning Cozy. As you can see, I have a half-empty bag here. This is the birthday cake bedding. You really don't want to do any of those artificial smell beddings just because you don't want to risk a respiratory infection. But any of the unscented, colorful beddings are so fun. You can do so many different tank themes. This is another inexpensive option for paper bedding that I actually found at Walmart recently. It is safe for your hamsters and odor-free, and it's a beautiful blue color. I haven't used this yet, but I am really excited to try it out. I am extremely partial to the Katie Cleaning Cozy. I find that it's softer than Carefresh, but a lot of people say that Carefresh is more absorbent than the Katie Cleaning Cozy. So be sure to try different brands of paper beddings for yourself and pick which one is best for you. The third tip that I have for you guys is making sure to not only clean your tank regularly, but also spot clean throughout the month. Moo is in a 40-gallon breeder tank, so it's very, very large, and it doesn't get dirty that often, so I find that I only have to clean her tank about once a month, and that seems perfect for her. If your hamster tends to use one corner of its tank, or maybe you have a corner that you have a little hamster litter box in or something, you can go in and spot clean that tank daily or weekly if you want, and that will greatly help keep the odor down in your hamster tank. If you have your hamster in a large tank like a 40-gallon breeder or a large DIY big cage, you obviously don't want to clean your tank too much more than once a month because you don't want to stress your hamster out. Another thing that I highly suggest to clean your hamster tank is using some sort of a hamster safe sterilizer in your tank. that the odor isn't trapped in that tank and doesn't smell really horrible for you and your hamster. Now, I go in much more detail to the DIY bin cage ventilation in my DIY bin cage video. If you haven't seen that, I will link it for you down below. Regardless of what type of enclosure you have for your hamster, whether it's a DIY bin cage, a 40-gallon breeder, a detolf, or something else, ventilation will help your enclosure breathe and not keep all of those stinky odors trapped inside. Okay guys, that is it for this video. I hope that these tips and tricks are helpful for you guys in keeping your hamster tank odor free. Thank you guys so much for watching. We really appreciate it.